Hello everyone, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I bring you a card tutorial using an inspiration card from the DIY color deck from the holiday add-on. This all started by a cool feature on the Spellbinders blog where there are 3 guest designers sharing inspiration, sharing their take on one of the color deck cards. Now, if you have no idea what the DIY color deck is, check out a previous video that I have filmed and shared on my YouTube channel where I talk about this fantastic product from Spellbinders and explain how to use it and what it is and why I think it is super helpful and, a must-have tool for a crafter and a craft room. Today, I am working with card that you can see on the Spellbinders blog. I also have it on the screen right here. And I'm one of the designers sharing my take on this color combination or my take on this inspiration. I encourage you to go over to the Spellbinders blog and see what the other 2 designers have created and how they have interpreted the inspiration, how they have interpreted the images or the image rather on this card. But I will share my take and how I see the images on this inspiration card. So I have already pulled the colors that I like the most, that I see the most for this card. And let me quickly go over those images and show them to you. So I first identified this dark blue-green color. This is Oceanside from Spellbinders. You can see this color on some of the houses. To me, this is probably one of the best colors. You guys know that I love to use dark and moody colors on my cards, and I picked this color as the background for my project. Next, you can see a lot of white or light blue on our inspiration card, and to reflect that in my project, I have the Spellbinders Fog, and I also have this color. Let me check my little cheat sheet so I give you the correct name of this color. So this is the Seaside. So this is one of the colors that I identified in the inspiration card. This is what I see in the sky. The fog is going to be there in place of the white. I'm actually not going to use any white for my card. You definitely can add white and black and, additional transition color, but I'm just going to go with fog, seaside. Next, let's skip this one for now. Next, I have poppy. So I have the red color. Some of the houses have a beautiful red front, and I really love that. So I have poppy. And I also identified gold or yellow on the card, and you can see that I will be using this mere gold cardstock. It might come off as green in the video. In one of my previous videos when I was sharing a look at some of the colored cardstock, and I was tilting the mere gold cardstock in the light, I later realized that it showed as mere green. That's because the walls in my craft room and in my living room, and my craft room is a part of my living room, the walls are dark green, and that green is reflected in the gold. So let me just put this away a little bit and have just a little bit of that gold show so that it's not blinding us. So these are the main colors that I identified from that color card, but as you guys can see, we also have pinks. So here I brought 2 more colors. So I have not just 5, but I actually have 7 colors. And I have the beautiful pinks, and these are going to go together with the red. So the pinks are Dahlia and Wild Berry. So this is my color combination. These are the colors that I saw that spoke to me the most from the inspiration card, and these are the colors that I'm going to use to create my card. Now, every designer on the Spellbinders website used the same die sets to make their card. That was actually an accident. The die set was not assigned. It was only the inspiration card that was assigned. But it was kind of nice to see that everybody used the same die set because that gives you even more ideas. So this is the die set from Spellbinders that we are all using for this assignment. And this is called Gifting Bow Dies from the Merry Moments collection. I have shared previously a look at the Merry Moments kit from Spellbinders, and I mentioned that there is a Merry Moments collection also. And these are products part of that collection. So we have the die set, we have the beautiful better press plate. This makes a fabulous background. There is also an embossing folder. Here I have it in my storage. By the way, these are the Spellbinders craft stacks. This is how I store most of my Spellbinders collections, products, and even sometimes projects that I'm working on. So this is the embossing folder. It looks really cool. I've not used it yet. And then there is also a pack of dimensional clear snowflake stickers. These are also really, really cool. Have not used those either. So I'm just using this die set, and I have already pre-cut all of the pieces for this card. I even pre-planned my card assembly and card layout, and I'm just going to set this all to the side and start assembling the pieces. And then I'll be back with the finished card to show you what I made. So this is the image placement I have planned so far. Nothing is adhered just yet. I have only added foam adhesive to the back of all of these pieces, and I'm using black foam adhesive. This is the regular thickness. I have trimmed these stems on most of these because the stems are too long and I really don't need them to be this long. And also when I trim the stems, it just makes it a little bit easier to tuck everything under the flowers. So I have 3 poinsettias. I basically have 3 clusters here. So you'll see I have 3 poinsettias, and there is a little arrangement next to each poinsettia. So I have all the other foliage, all the other images surrounding the poinsettias. By the way, if you hear a little noise in the background, that's my little kitties. They are awake. I usually try and film when they are asleep, and since they are so little, they do sleep quite a lot these days, but they're awake right now, and I was just opening a package that I received with some products. And you know how packages have brown paper that's used to wrap or like fill the space in the box? So I made the mistake of putting that paper on the floor, and they just adore that paper. They love to play with the paper because it makes a lot of noise, and they can jump on it and, play with it and bite it and whatnot. So that's what they're doing. At least they're not biting my foot, which is something they also love to do. So if you hear a little noise in the background, that's what that noise is. Okay, I have quite a lot of little images, little pieces here. I might not have enough to fill the entire background. By the way, this background, this is not 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I have trimmed this down a little bit. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I will foam mount this onto a card base made from the same Oceanside cardstock. And I actually wanted to have like a tone-on-tone background. Not that it's going to be tone-on-tone, but the background, the color of the panel is going to be the same color as the color of the card base. And the card base, or the panel rather, is going to be popped up on the card base. So there's going to be a little bit of dimension there. I'm trying to be careful here and foam mount all of the little bits and pieces. I love using foam adhesive, and I use a lot of foam adhesive squares just because I love to have dimension. I love when things are popped up. I feel like that just adds a lot more interest, a lot more life to my cards. So this is how I typically create. I also adore 1-layer cards, but I struggle with 1-layer cards. Occasionally, once in a blue moon, I will make a 1-layer card, but 1-layer cards are typically not my strong suit. So I avoid making them, but I do admire when other people make them and share them because they are little beauties. Okay, I'm just going to keep adding these flowers onto my background, keep adhering them in place, and I will be back once I have everything finished and adhered, and I'll show you the finished card. As I'm adding my images onto the background, I'm trying to contain them within the panel. So I don't have anything going outside the edge of the panel aside from this leaf, which I will adjust because it's not adhered yet. So the type of pattern that I'm making here on this card is I don't want anything going outside the edge of the card. I don't want it to look like anything is cropped from a larger panel. In fact, I just want everything contained here. There are different types of patterns or backgrounds that you can make, and I do like to make different kinds. Sometimes I will make backgrounds where I have images going outside the edge of the background, and I trim them. But this is not the case. I have quite a lot of foam adhesive here, and whenever I pop things up using foam adhesive squares, I kind of try to avoid having the images go outside the edge of the card because then it doesn't always look nice. Maybe if I use thin foam adhesive, it looks better, but not with the regular thickness foam adhesive squares. So I just try to avoid that. Okay, I think I'm almost done. Just have this one last leaf last to add, and let's check. Okay, looks like this is all adhered. I still have my sentiments. The sentiment is also a part of this die set, and this says merry and bright. And I'm just going to probably, add it onto my card somewhere here. Now, I still have some gaps on my card, on my background, and I do plan on filling those gaps in either by using a pen. I can use a white Jelly Roll pen and add little dots, or maybe I will use embellishments. Maybe I'll use some gems and add those to embellish the background. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll have to check and see what I have, what color embellishments I have, to see if I have something that matches well. Right now, I'm adding strips of foam adhesive strips to the back of my sentiment so that I can foam mount the sentiment onto my card. And as I'm adding the sentiment, I'm trying to make sure, I'm trying to add it so that it doesn't overlap too many pieces, too many images, because these are so pretty. I really don't want any of these covered by the sentiment. The sentiment is not adhered, on a flush straight. It does overlap some images, so there's a little bit of a curve happening there, and I quite like that. Okay, this now looks fantastic, and I just need to add it onto a card base and add my final embellishments. And here is a look at the finished card I have for you today, created using the inspiration card from the new holiday add-on to the DIY color deck. I hope this gives you an idea of how you can use the DIY color deck product in your crafting, how you can pull color inspiration from the images included in the DIY color deck, and I hope you feel inspired to create. Do check out the Spellbinders blog for 2 more card ideas featuring this same die set and this same inspiration card. I have a link in the video description below, as well as links to the products I used in this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you again next time.